Her dog was gone. Just like that. Lily's small hands trembled as she called his name, but the yard was empty, and her heart was breaking. Max had always been by her side, through scraped knees, thunderstorm fears, and long summer afternoons under the oak tree. Now the chain was swinging loosely, the gate swinging open, and the terrifying possibility of losing him forever made Lily's chest tighten so much she could barely breathe. Her mother's voice came from the porch, calm but worried. "Lily, stay here. Don't panic. We'll find him." But calm words couldn't reach past the panic pooling in Lily's stomach. She ran down the street, calling Max over and over, her voice breaking with every shout. Her friend's neighborhood dogs barked in the distance, mocking her helplessness. Hours seemed like years as shadows stretched across the pavement and the sun dipped lower in the sky. Meanwhile, Mark, her father, was frantically scanning the area, calling local shelters, texting neighbors, and posting every detail about Max online. He knew Lily's emotional state was fragile. Losing Max wasn't just losing a pet. For her, Max was safety, comfort, and a constant source of unconditional love. Without him, the world suddenly felt colder, lonelier, more dangerous. As the minutes stretched into an hour, Lily collapsed onto the curb, tears streaming freely, Max's leash still clutched in her hand. "I can't do this," she whispered to no one, a knot of fear twisting in her throat. Every barking dog, every rustling bush, every shadow in the distance felt like a potential clue, and yet none of them led to Max. It was then, in that moment of despair, that someone noticed. From across the street, a man emerged slowly, almost blending into the twilight, yet commanding attention with a presence that was impossible to ignore. He was ordinary in appearance, a simple jacket, worn shoes, but there was a quiet authority about him, a kind of stillness that suggested he noticed everything, even the things people thought were invisible. He approached carefully, not too fast, not too slow, maintaining a respectful distance. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice calm but carrying an undercurrent of reassurance that made Lily look up, startled. She had expected more panic, more alarm, maybe even criticism. Instead, his eyes, warm, steady, understanding, met hers. I lost Max," she stammered, voice shaking. "My dog. I can't find him anywhere." He nodded slowly, crouching down to her level without touching her, his presence grounding. "Tell me everything you remember," he said gently. "When was the last time you saw him? Did he run off or just wander?" As Lily poured out her story, detailing the gate that had swung open, the shadows behind the hedge, and her frantic calls, he listened attentively. He asked precise questions not out of doubt but out of focus. Every pause he allowed her was deliberate, giving her a sense of control in a situation that felt completely out of it. Minutes later he stood, scanning the area with an intensity that made Lily's heart skip. Then, without a word, he began moving down the street, eyes sharp, ears tuned to every sound, every motion, every faint bark. Lily wanted to follow, but he shook his head slightly, signaling patience. "Stay here," he said. "I need to track him quietly. He may respond better if he sees someone calm." Lily's father appeared beside her, breathless from his own frantic search. He recognized the man immediately. Though he didn't know him personally, there was a sense of competence radiating from him, the kind of person who could handle a crisis without panic. "Can he really find him?" Mark whispered, disbelief and hope mingling in his voice. The man nodded without looking back. "I have to try. But we need to move slowly. Animals, like people, can sense fear. If he's scared, he won't come when called. We'll give him space, let him guide us." Lily's heart pounded as she watched him move, methodical, almost silent. He crouched occasionally, peered into bushes, whispered softly into the wind, and seemed to communicate with Max without even knowing him. There was a rhythm to his steps, a pattern in his scanning that suggested years of observation, of understanding beings who couldn't speak in words but could communicate in gestures, energy, and trust. It felt like hours, yet the sun had only just begun to dip past the horizon. Then a faint bark. Lily's head snapped toward the sound. "Max?" she called, voice trembling with a mix of fear and hope. The man paused, tilted his head, and listened carefully. Another bark, closer this time. He motioned for them to remain still, and Lily's chest tightened with anticipation. From behind a hedge, a small brown and white dog emerged, tail wagging cautiously, ears perked. Max froze mid-step, his eyes locking onto the man first, then scanning the street until he saw Lily standing there. His bark was a mix of relief and recognition, and he bolted toward her, no leash, no hesitation, just pure joy. Lily ran, throwing herself at him, tears streaming freely as Max licked her face and nuzzled her neck. "Oh Max, I thought I lost you forever," she cried, hugging him tight. The man watched silently from a distance, a faint smile on his face, satisfaction hidden in restraint. He didn't need thanks, he had done what mattered. Mark approached, still catching his breath, and saw the stranger now standing casually, hands in pockets, watching his daughter and dog reunite. "I don't know who you are," he said cautiously, "but you saved her. How can I thank you?" The man shook his head. "You don't need to," he said softly. "Sometimes the right act is its own reward. Just remember, it's not about me. It's about noticing when someone needs help, and acting before it's too late." Lily, still hugging Max, looked up at him. Can I do anything to say thank you?" she asked, voice small and trembling. He smiled faintly, a shadow of a grin that seemed to hold 1,000 quiet victories. "Keep noticing, Lily. Help someone else next time. That's all the thanks I need." She watched as he walked away, blending into the evening like a ghost, a guardian, a quiet hero whose presence had shifted the world for just a small family, but whose impact would echo for a lifetime. Lily hugged Max even tighter, her heart swelling with gratitude and awe. She realized, even at 11, that heroism didn't always come with accolades, cameras, or applause. Sometimes, it came silently, invisibly, through the smallest acts of courage and understanding. That night Lily couldn't sleep. She thought about the man, about Max, about the fragile threads of trust and care that had held them together in the chaos of the day. She sketched him in her notebook, not for recognition, not for reward, but to remember what courage looked like, what empathy felt like, and what it meant to act without expectation. Mark peeked into her room, seeing her sketches and the notebook full of thoughts. "You're thinking about him," he said softly. "I am," Lily admitted. "I don't even know his name, but I want to remember him. He showed me something important today." "Yes," Mark said, sitting beside her. "Some people teach us lessons without ever knowing it. Some people remind us that noticing, listening, and acting can change the world. You just experienced that firsthand." In the following weeks, the neighborhood began to murmur stories about the quiet man who helped the little girl find her dog. No one knew much about him, only that he appeared when needed, acted without expectation, and vanished quietly once his work was done. He became a legend in subtle ways. Children whispered about the man who returned lost pets, neighbors recounted the silent rescues he performed, and Lily carried the story in her heart as both inspiration and a reminder that goodness could exist without fanfare. Weeks passed, but Lily couldn't shake the image of the man who had found Max. Every time she walked through the park, she scanned the paths, half expecting him to appear from behind a tree or crouched by the fountain, quietly observing and ready to act. She started noticing little things around her. The stray cat by the corner store, the toddler struggling to reach a high shelf, the elderly man trying to carry groceries. And each time she wondered, could I help the way he did? One afternoon, as she and Max returned from school, Lily spotted him again. He was near the edge of the playground, kneeling by a small, frightened puppy tangled in its leash. Max tugged at his leash, excited, and Lily ran toward the man, her heart pounding. "Hello," she called out, breathless. "It's me, Lily." "Max." He looked up slowly, eyes calm and steady, and gave a faint smile. "Lily," he said. "And Max, I see you're both well." Max barked happily, tail wagging, and the man crouched to pet him, whispering softly. Lily's chest tightened as she watched him. He was the same quiet, attentive presence as before, and yet there was something deeper now, a sense that he had done this countless times, helping those who were lost, scared, or overlooked, without asking for recognition. I wanted to thank you again," Lily said, stepping closer. "Not just for finding Max, but for everything. You helped me believe that someone could care without asking for anything in return." The man shook his head gently. "You don't need to thank me. The right thing to do is its own reward. But I will say this, your willingness to notice, to act with empathy, matters. That's what changes the world." Lily nodded slowly, absorbing his words. She realized he was teaching her something far more valuable than returning a lost dog. He was showing her the power of attention, patience, and compassion. He was teaching her that heroism wasn't about recognition, it was about presence, care, and understanding. Over the next several months, Lily began to apply his lessons. She helped a neighbor gather groceries, comforted a friend who had fallen and scraped her knee, and even assisted a frightened child whose balloon had flown into a tree. Each time, she remembered the quiet man and his unwavering patience, and she began to understand that small acts, repeated and sincere, could create ripples far greater than anyone imagined. One evening, as Lily and Max walked home through the park, she saw the man again, this time sitting on a bench, observing a family of ducks near the pond. She approached him cautiously, unsure if she could speak. He looked up and nodded, as if acknowledging her presence without needing an explanation. "Hi," she said softly. I wanted to show you something." She opened her notebook and flipped through pages filled with sketches of Max, the park, the neighborhood, and even the man himself. "I drew these to remember, and to try to understand what you taught me about noticing and helping." He examined the drawings carefully, a faint smile touching his lips. "You've learned well, Lily. Empathy and attention are skills that grow stronger the more you practice them. I see that in you." At that moment, a sudden commotion broke the calm. A small boy had fallen into the pond, splashing and panicking. Without hesitation, Lily ran forward, Max at her side, remembering the lessons she had learned. She didn't wait for someone else to act. She jumped in, pulling the boy to safety, careful to keep him calm. The man watched silently from the bench, and when the boy was safe, he stood, clapping softly. "Well done," he said. "You noticed, you acted, and you made a difference." The boy's mother, tears streaming down her face, hugged Lily tightly. "Thank you. You saved him." Lily looked up at the man. "It's what you taught me," she said, breathless. "To notice, to act, to care without expecting anything in return." He nodded, a shadow of pride in his eyes. "Exactly. And now you know the power of doing so. Never forget it." From that day on, Lily's reputation in the neighborhood shifted. People whispered about the girl who seemed unusually attentive, patient, and brave. They noticed how she helped, how she observed, and how she acted without seeking attention. Max was always by her side, a constant reminder of the day her life changed forever. Months later, an event would bring the man and Lily together one final time. A neighborhood fair, bustling with children, parents, and pets, had drawn everyone out. Lily spotted him immediately, standing at the edge of the crowd, quietly watching a lost balloon float above a toddler. She ran to him, Max bounding happily, and waved. He smiled faintly and approached. "Lily," he said. "It's good to see you. And Max, of course." "Hi," she exclaimed, hugging him. "I've been practicing, noticing and helping just like you said. Today, I even helped a little girl find her lost kitten before anyone else saw it." The man's eyes softened. "I see. You've learned the lesson well. But remember, true acts of kindness aren't for stories or recognition. They're for the lives you touch." Lily nodded, understanding more than ever. She realized that the impact of his actions, both in finding Max and teaching her to act with empathy, would ripple far beyond that day, shaping her values, her choices, and her understanding of what it meant to be a responsible, compassionate human being. The fair continued around them, a swirl of laughter, music, and joyful chaos. Lily and Max stayed close to the man, watching as he helped a child untangle a kite string, guided an elderly woman across a busy path, and gently calmed a frightened dog. It was quiet heroism in action, small, subtle, and immensely powerful. As the sun set, casting long shadows across the park, Lily finally asked the question that had been on her mind since that first day. "Why do you do it? Why do you help without ever asking for thanks?" The man paused, looking at the children playing, the pets running, and the families interacting. "Because someone has to notice. Because someone has to act. Because the world doesn't always pause for fear or need, but people do. And when you act, even quietly, you make the world a little better. That's why." Lily smiled, tears pricking her eyes. She hugged Max tightly, feeling the warmth of gratitude and understanding flood her heart. She knew she would never forget him. Not his name, not his face, not his quiet courage, but the way he had changed her, and through her, the world around her. That night, as she lay in bed, Lily thought about the man, about Max, and about the lessons she had learned. Heroism didn't always come with applause, recognition, or fame. Sometimes it came quietly, invisibly, through small acts of courage, empathy, and patience. And sometimes those acts could change lives forever. She picked up her notebook one last time before sleep, sketching Max, the park, and a faint outline of the man who had taught her the greatest lesson she had ever learned. It wasn't just about saving a dog, it was about noticing, acting, and caring without expectation. That was the true magic. And in that moment, Lily knew that she would carry this lesson forever, passing it on whenever she could, just as he had passed it to her.